JF Stretford, Paddock. That's Joe Smith. Listen very carefully. Southampton 0. Manchester United 1. We've won an away game, Joe!
It's happened! They said it couldn't be done. 7 losses in a row. No clean sheets away since December last year. And finally, we stand victorious.
We stand victorious.
Fuck me.
Can we change that behind us as well, please?
Yeah, I'd love to change that.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost, like, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do with myself. I'm so used to seeing Manchester United lose away from home, not just draw, but lose games against pretty poor opposition at times as well. But today we faced a decent Southampton team, and we turned up. It wasn't an amazing performance, but it's a professional one, a decent one, solid at the back, relatively solid. And we got a good goal from Bruno Fernandes. Get involved in the chat and the comments and let us know what you think about that result. We'll start with the clean sheet.
Yeah.
Because we haven't had many of them, have we? Let's be honest. Southampton had a few chances, especially towards the end of the game, but other than, I think there was one clearance on the line, we looked relatively comfortable. Even the save by David De Gea was one I'd expect him to make. Yeah. What did you make of us defensively as a whole today?
It wasn't like backs to the wall in terms of chances. Obviously, we sat back and we allowed pressure, which I would rather we didn't do going forward. Like, hopefully we can become a team where we can control the game even when we're winning. Because at the minute, it's like we go 1-0 up and we go, right, you just do what you want with it and we'll shit ourselves. We're doing it against Liverpool and it worked. We did it today and it worked. So it can work, but the best teams in Europe, and not that we're near the best teams in Europe, but as a goal, when City go 1-0 up, they just keep the ball and then they go 2-0 up and then they keep the ball and they go 3-0 up. Like, we go 1-0 up and go, it's good. Like, and it's fair enough because we've been bad and we've conceded a lot of goals away from home. We've lost a lot of games away from home, so it's understandable in this game. But that would be nice to see as the next step forward, wouldn't it? Where it's not just backs to the wall as soon as we score a goal, we can then go and control the game. But I think it's good that we could sit back and concede relatively few chances. They had an overhead kick that looked a bit dangerous. Like I said, there was a header at the near post that was pretty much straight at De Gea. It wasn't save after save after save, as you mentioned. And we also had good chances in the first half. That little moment where there was 3 shots and chances in about 5 seconds, any one of which would have been considered a good chance. So we had 3 great chances back-to-back that none of them went in. That one that Elanga sort of took into his stride and then failed to get the shot away in a decent position. We had some good counter-attacks where just the link-up play was let down. And obviously the goal was probably the hardest chance of the lot, like volleying it in 15 yards out into the bottom corner. Brilliant finish by Bruno Fernandes. But, yeah, to your question about the defence, it's nice that we can sit back and not concede because it seems like for the last, certainly 2 years, if we sit back, they score.
Yeah, no, definitely. Hit the like button and do give us a subscribe as well if you're not doing. One player, it's quite strange because both sort of singled out on a watch along. We're singling out certain players who probably don't always get, a lot of love, or certainly one of them doesn't. McTominay, you said about having a good game today. Decent. I agreed with you. I thought he was very sort of decent and solid in midfield. Not spectacular, but even McTominay playing like that every week, I'd be happy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He did the job you were asking him to do. Just sort of offered a little bit of protection in front of the back four. I thought he was better in possession as well. He did the things that Scott McTominay historically has been decent at. Mm-hmm. When he's played well, he has been good at getting hold of the ball for the defence and sort of carrying it into that midfield area, just mopping things up. He certainly looks to be at the top of his game. And also, following on from a very good performance against Liverpool, Diogo Dalot, I thought had a very good game, especially in the second half. Mm-hmm. I actually plumped for him as man of the match, which is probably the first time I've ever said that. But Lisandro Martinez got the man of the match. Mm-hmm. And, ever since people started moaning about his height and the Brentford result, he's just gone from strength to strength, hasn't he?
Yeah, it was good. It was good, Martinez. I think there was that one time when the ball sort of came in front of him and he left it for some reason. And I don't really know why he did that. He left it and Shea Adams almost got in behind him, but that sort of worked itself out and never turned into a big chance. But other than that, it was pretty much a sort of faultless performance from him again. I think Dalot, like you said, I picked Dalot for man of the match as well because maybe some of it is like he's been pretty poor to start the season and then back-to-back good performances. But he just did well on that side. He didn't get skinned too often. He held his ground well. He blocked some crosses. He was very willing to get forward, and he got an assist for the goal. That's a pretty good, CV for the day, isn't it? So I think he did well. Again, McTominay, these are the sorts of games, Liverpool and then this game back-to-back, where you go, there's a place for him in, whether it's United or not, in a decent squad. At times like this, he's good to have as an option.
Yeah.
And maybe it would be better if that option was off the bench most of the time.
Yeah.
Or Europa League games or whatever. But he could comfortably get 25 appearances a season for this team.
Yeah.
And we could still be successful.
Yeah.
Like, you see him in these sorts of games when we are sitting back a bit deeper. It is about getting stuck in, pushing someone out of the way, getting your foot in. He's great at that. But the problem is when we're expected to play expansive, quick, one-touch football with accurate passing, that's when he struggles. So I'm glad we've got options where we don't need to use him, but I thought today, especially second half, it was literally a game designed for him. Very close quarters, so you don't have to worry about, there's no long passing that needs doing. There's none of that. Just get your toe in, nudge it away, get your toe in, nudge it away, push him out of the way, head it. I thought he played well today.
Yeah, there was a few decent forms. Again, attack-wise, a little bit underwhelming, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
Sancho and Rashford not really in the game at all.
No.
I'll be honest with you. I'm not seeing the stats, but I'd be very surprised if either of them were anywhere near the top end of the amount of touches they had. I think Rashford, it took him a long time to get any sort of touches on the ball. And then in the second half, Sancho wasn't really in it. He got subbed. Don't know whether that's just tiredness as well, which doesn't help. He had some moments in the first half where he was getting down the left-hand side. But yeah, they weren't really in it. But it doesn't matter if you've got someone who can get a goal. And Bruno Fernandes, who has had a lot of criticism, towards the end of last season and the beginning of this season, where people are saying, his position. I saw quite a lot of people on social say maybe his position in the team isn't assured anymore.
Yeah.
If we do, we've obviously got Casemiro here, Eriksen's here. Maybe Ten Hag might prefer a midfield that doesn't feature Bruno Fernandes, but he took his goal very well, and that's what he's good at, innit? That's what he's good at, getting into those spaces, not just obviously scoring penalties, which is what he did a lot of when he came up. Getting into those spaces and finishing as well, and he did it well. And what was it wasn't the easiest of chances.
No, I thought it was a really good finish, and I thought he had a good game again today, Bruno. Not just because of the goal, but I think him and Eriksen in there can produce things that all the midfield combinations that we've seen are incapable of doing. The one thing I would say is they both at times looked sort of defensively lacking in, they didn't seem to know where to be a lot.
Yeah.
They both look a bit kind of wandering about when it comes to the defensive work. But I thought it was good again today. And in these games where, the players in front of him are wasting chances and struggling, like his numbers and his assists and all that aren't going to look as good when you lay the ball through to someone, they're one-on-one with the keeper and they don't get a shot away.
Yeah.
That's football. I appreciate that. But I think he played well today and he created a lot and he was dangerous and he played a lot of good balls in behind. And one thing I will say about Alanga, who I think end product was pretty poor, it was always him.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He's always the one running in behind. He's the one that had the shot that started that flurry of chances for United. He's great at getting in the right areas. It's just that actual touch or the pass or the shot that he struggles with. And I think, Sancho is almost the opposite, where when he's in a great spot or when he's got a pass on or when he's got a shot on, he's usually very good at it. It's just that he doesn't do enough to get himself in those areas where his excellent final product is useful, because he's just too often he's stood in front of his defender one-on-one, tapping it back to the fullback. So it's almost like the two opposites on the wings, like productive but can't get to the point where it's useful, and lacking end product, but he gets there every time. Like, we almost need a combination of the two.
Maybe that's why, we are being linked with someone like Anthony or Gakpo, the other kid, as well, because like you say, there's flaws in both Sancho and Alanga, but I thought, similar to what you were saying there, Alanga sort of up to that sort of the 18-yard box, he was doing well. It's just that taking out one touch too many, not really being at the races there. And Sancho just drifted in and out of the game, especially towards the end. He wasn't really in it at all. But listen, I don't want to be too negative because it was a good performance. What are people saying? So good result. What are people saying in the comments?
Danny with the super chat says Anthony will be key in these low block games. John Healy says Alanga crumbles with contact. That is a bit of an issue with Alanga, isn't it?
He does go down a lot.
Yeah.
Like, he's always on the deck. And he's only small, I get it, he's quite slight, but he goes down very easy and he goes down a lot and he doesn't get the fouls. And, you know, I mean, sometimes you can't help it, but I do feel like he goes down pretty easy sometimes. And I think, when he does go down, he's not getting, he needs to get up and get back at it, because we've seen it so many times where he's gone down looking for a foul and he's just not been given, and we saw it again today. Listen, let us know what you think about the performance. We also got to see Casemiro for the last 20 minutes or whatever it was.
Good.
I mean, you couldn't tell a lot from him,
No.
but you can see why he's been brought into the team, can't you? He's just, what we needed. We've needed this probably since Michael Paddock.
Yeah, just a few things I did notice about him. Obviously, like you said, very small sample size here, but just some things he was doing that other players in that position don't do. I noticed immediately dropping into the centre-back partnership, allowing Varane to push out. There's a point where they were playing the ball from their right-hand side to their left-hand side, and it was quite an open bit of the pitch. Like, it was Dallo, I think there was someone else there, and then there was 2 or 3 of their players. Do you know where you sort of switch play and you kind of really make a push for one side? And because Varane had Casemiro behind him, Casemiro slotted straight in next to Martinez, it meant that Varane could track his man way out of position. And if he hadn't have tracked his man, it would have been 3-on-1 basically with Dallo on that side.
Yeah.
But because Varane was there, it limited the options in terms of getting the ball in behind. And just straight away you think, that's not much he's done there. But because Varane knows, right, he's going to cover me if I push out, and he did, all of a sudden it's a 3-on-2 on that side rather than a 3-on-1. And it meant that they couldn't get anything going down that side and end up playing the ball back, and it didn't come to anything. But just little things like that where straight away, again, small sample size, I can't say he's a perfect signing, but I just thought he's playing like a proper defensive midfielder there, where he knows that sometimes you have to be a centre-back for a bit, and sometimes, Varane knows, if I pull out, this guy's got me covered. And I just like that sort of unspoken kind of symbiosis.
Yeah, I like that.
It was nice.
No, that's one advantage. You've got 2 players that know each other very well. They've got loads of experience, and hopefully, they can bring some of that sort of success they've had at Real Madrid to this Manchester United team, because we're crying out for it as well, aren't we?
Yeah.
Obviously, people are always going to talk about Cristiano Ronaldo, no matter what happens. And again, it was a bit of a cameo today. He didn't really do a lot, but he's obviously still an option for Erik ten Hag. It's not like he's thrown his toys right out of the pram and doesn't want to play at all. We've seen him come on now twice in the last 2 games. Even though he's been dropped, he's still played his part in wins. So do you think that's maybe what we're just going to have to do until he eventually leaves? Just maybe use him as a substitute?
I think so, yeah. I don't... It's Leicester next, isn't it?
I think it's Leicester, yeah, it is.
Leicester on Thursday. They're quite a high press. When they're at their best, they're a high pressing team who are good at playing the ball quickly. Maybe he could work in behind, but he's not much of an in behind player anymore. As we saw, there was a point at the end there where he was trying to counter attack, and one time he tried to use his pace to get past someone. It wasn't there for him. The second time, Bruno tried to make a run behind, and he sort of played it in between. It's sort of not too early and not too late, but also not right, if you know what I mean. Like, he didn't give it Bruno early enough, and then he didn't wait for Bruno to come round the outside of him and be into space. And you just think, I'm not sure he is that counter-attacking player. I think he's a stand in the box, couple of yards of space, nod it in, or half a yard, tap it in. So I don't know if it would work against Leicester. I think probably if Elanga is going to be productive, it would be in that sort of game where you're playing against a team that likes to press it. You can win the ball back high up the pitch and make quick things happen. But he's got to go, hasn't he? Like, what is going on? If you pretend like what the manager's saying is true, that he's staying, he's just going to be a part-time player for Man United? I can't imagine that being
and
the
also,
case.
time is precious for him. He's 37. I think, is he 37?
Yeah,
he's 37. He's not. He's not got loads of years left in him. He doesn't want to waste time being a substitute for a team that, isn't even in the Champions League. So you imagine that he's going to want to sort of feature. I'll let you do some of the super chats because I know we've got Andy Tate waiting. We're going to get him on in a minute.
ABC123 says, here's $8 Aussie to say piss off Ronaldo and well done Ten Hag for putting non-committed players on the bench. Cheers, lads. Thank you very much.
Fair play.
Interesting. Fabio Montero, in contrast to that, says, I still believe in Ronaldo. He's just started this season. Give him 2 weeks. The defence looks solid. The midfield is building up, but we need a winger and a striker. And Miguel Garcia says, Martinez has that damn dog in him. What do you make of that?
That damn dog?
Yeah.
He
is good, isn't he, Martinez? It's nice to have a player like that knocking about, especially when we've looked so fragile and sort of back foot compared to how a lot of the teams above us are looking. Jerome T. Green says, did Malacia just bench Shaw for at least the next 5 to 10 games with these performances?
What do you make of that? Just quickly before we wrap up.
Yeah.
I want to get on. There's a couple of things I want to touch upon there. Actually, it's a good point. What do you make of that now? Because it's only been 2 games, but Malacia, for sure, you can see the difference. Martinez is now, man of the match. Probably, I don't know. Was he official man of the match on Monday? I didn't say.
On Monday, I'm not sure.
But he was up there, wasn't he?
Yeah,
if he wasn't, I presume he was. But I mean, is there a way back for these guys, or do you think that this is it now? That sort of Malacia, because let's not forget, Malacia and Martinez are 2 very Ten Hag signings. He wanted these players. Yeah. He said, I want, go and get them. Obviously for a reason. And he's thrown them in. And he's given Shaw a chance. He's given Maguire a chance. Maguire, I don't think he did much wrong in those first 2 games. I know he lost, but I don't think it was particularly his fault. Shaw, I thought, was abysmal. Yeah. Now, Malacia's come in, and even though he's not faultless, there's a couple of times he got caught out, or, he makes up for it with his energy and his effort. Yeah. Martinez has been just almost perfect. So, do you think that this is maybe, we're talking about Ronaldo moving on, do you think there might be a case where Shaw and Maguire, World Cup on the horizon, big players, they're going to be like, I'm not going to sit on the fucking bench for Manchester United while these 2 start every week?
Well, they have to. It's not up to them, is it? Like, they've signed a contract. The 5 years that you signed for, whatever it was, with I don't know what Shaw's most recent deal was, but the time you sign for is with the understanding that you might be playing and you might not.
Yeah.
And it's not, the manager's imperative to play a player who's not performing just because he's the captain or just
I hear that. Yeah, I agree.
Money,
I just wonder if they might go to the manager and say, listen, if you don't want me.
And as I've said a lot, I think Maguire got some unfair stick, but Martinez is playing way better than him.
Yeah.
So no one in their right mind would want him to come back in. These 2 look so much better on that side already. I think Malacia's still got a long way to go. I think going forward, he doesn't seem to offer much of anything at the moment. And we were saying during the watch-along, I don't know if that's an instruction, but Dalot is overlapping constantly on the right-hand side, and Malacia isn't really overlapping at all. I think that's something that he can work on. Just, game by game, I think that's something he'll get better at. But like I said, defensively, like Luke Shaw's not doing much going forward either in current form. And defensively, just trying so much harder. Like, I think those 2 have to keep playing. Unfortunately for Shaw and Maguire, who, let's say they do want to leave, I don't know if they do, we ain't got enough options. We ain't got enough backup, so you've got to stay.
Like the thing with we were talking about it before the game, the thing with Rafael Varane is he's obviously a top-class defender, but he missed half the games last season. Yeah. Now, just because you've got a new manager, I don't think that necessarily means that he stops getting injured. Yes, you can manage some of his injuries better, and I think we did rush him back at times last season. But there's still a good chance he may, miss a few games this season where you'd expect Maguire to be next in line ahead of Victor Lindelof. Yeah. So there might still be a role there. In Luke Shaw and Malacia, there's a lot of games you don't know what's going to happen. I just wonder whether the whole, World Cup thing is going to be an issue. But then it's in November?
Yeah.
So it's not like it's in a summer where you go, okay, well, if I get a move, I can impress or whatever. You might just have to be sort of just suck it up a little bit.
I think Maguire will probably play on international reputation alone in this World Cup.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, I think so. And also, I do think he's going to play games for United. Like I said, Varane probably going to get injured, unfortunately. Like, we do have the Europa League. I can't see, Varane and Martinez aren't going to play all 65 or 60 odd games we play this season if we get to a couple of quarter-finals, semi-finals. So he's going to play, and he's done so much for England in the past few years. And let's be honest,
he's one of Southgate's men, isn't he?
Yeah, and
Maguire's always been one of the.
Who's going to take his place? Tyrone Mings, who is shit.
No, he is.
You've got John Stones, you've got Harry Maguire. When they're fit, they start for United.
Yeah.
I don't see who would come in and replace him now with the form that he's shown over the last 3-4 years for England. I think, I don't see why he would immediately lose his spot just because we've got someone better at United. So, yeah, we've got good players, and I think Maguire's a decent option off the bench and in certain games and in Europa League. It's a good back 4 that we've got there now. I think, hopefully Dalot can keep this form up. But, yeah, I'm not looking for Maguire and Shaw to come back in anytime soon because, these guys are playing better than them. We've got a chatter from Koth Mike. Lindelof was good above Maguire for me, but he's been injured recently, which is rare for him. What do you think to Lindelof? He's just come back from injury. Do you think he's got a chance of getting in here, or is he? Yeah, he's the one for me that has got a better shout to be like, you know what, can I leave?
Yeah.
Because he's always been the one that's first to get pushed out as soon as a replacement comes in.
I think the difference between Maguire and Lindelof is, I think Lindelof, can be more reliable I just don't think his ceiling is probably as high as Maguire. I think there's certain games where you can see why Maguire, why we wanted him, why he was sort of so lauded, why he, I know we overpaid for him, but why he was a big money signing, why, he did so well at Leicester, especially carrying the ball out of defence. People must forget that about Maguire. He made his reputation on that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That was the thing that sort of made him stand out. And there's times when you look at it, you can see it. And I think that with Lindelof, yes, he can pick a pass out and that, but he's not quite got that in his locker. So, I don't know. I do like Victor Lindelof. I do think he gets a little bit of undue stick. I just think the problem we've got with Lindelof is he's never quite reached the heights of certain other defenders.
No.
He's never been a sort of an 8 or 9 out of 10 type defender. He's always been a 7.
He's never been someone where you think is a defensive rock. Or
No.
Even like Maguire, he always had that thing of like, if you put the ball in the air, he's winning.
Yeah.
There's no one thing where you're like, Lindelof defensively has got this thing he has. Like, he's decent at playing long balls, he's decent defensively, he's decent in the air, but he hasn't got one thing where you're like, go on, he's doing his thing. Like Martinez is like, intensity, energy, aggression, perfect. Varane, composure, coolness, that head on his shoulders of winning everything. Lindelof hasn't got like a thing that he's known for and the thing that he's really, really world class at. So I think, he struggles to really assert himself amongst, those other centre-backs at times.
No, I completely agree. Listen, make sure you are hitting that subscribe button and give us a like. We're going to wrap it up there. Joe's going to be chatting to Andy Tate. We've also got post-match reaction from Adam McCullough as well.
Yes.
That'll be going up on the channel very soon. We're basking in the glory of a 1-0 win away at Southampton. It's been emotional. It's been a while. Make sure you're checking out Joe and Sloppy Joe's podcast. Make sure you're subscribing to this channel as well. I've been Joe. I've been Jay. That's been Joe. I got it right.
I've been Jay as well.
You've been Jay as well.
Yeah.
And I've been Joe. Thanks for watching.